Imagine a world where the buzz of bees, the hum of mosquitoes, and the scurry of ants all vanished in an instant. No more ants marching across your kitchen floor, no buzzing bees pollinating your flowers, no mosquitoes making their nightly rounds. It seems like it might be a peaceful, quiet world, but what if you learned that without insects, everything we know about life on Earth would be turned upside down? Picture a planet stripped of its smallest workers, bees, ants, mosquitoes, all gone. The consequences? More dramatic than you might think. To understand what life would be like without insects, let's first take a moment to appreciate their role in nature. Insects are often invisible to us in their everyday duties, but they are essential to the functioning of ecosystems around the globe. In fact, insects are involved in nearly every aspect of the natural world, from pollination and decomposition to serving as food for countless species. They are, in many ways, the hidden backbone of the ecosystem. Bees, for instance, are the primary pollinators for a wide variety of plants, including the crops that feed us. Without them, the reproduction of many plants would come to a halt. Mosquitoes, while often seen as pests, are also a crucial part of many food webs. They serve as a food source for birds, bats, and amphibians, not to mention their role in nutrient cycling in aquatic environments. Ants, meanwhile, perform a myriad of tasks, from aerating soil to helping break down organic matter. They're so deeply embedded in the ecosystem that even their absence would trigger ripple effects throughout the entire food chain. One of the most immediate and devastating impacts of a world without insects would be the collapse of pollination. Pollination is a process that allows plants to reproduce, and insects, especially bees, are crucial players in this process. Bees alone pollinate approximately 75% of flowering plants and about 35% of the food crops we rely on. If bees disappeared tomorrow, many of the fruits, vegetables, and nuts that we eat regularly would become increasingly difficult to grow. Imagine a world without apples, strawberries, or almonds. Crops like these depend heavily on insect pollination, and without them, we would face a major agricultural crisis. While some plants could still be pollinated by wind or other animals, the loss of insect-pollinated crops would severely limit biodiversity in both agriculture and the natural world. Foods like coffee, cocoa, and even the cotton we use to make clothes would be at risk, making our daily lives unrecognizable. When we think about the importance of insects, we often forget how interconnected they are to the entire food web. Insects are not only pollinators, but they also serve as a critical food source for other animals. Birds, fish, and small mammals all rely on insects for nutrition, and their absence would force these animals to find alternative food sources or face starvation. Without insects, small creatures that rely on them would suffer, and as those species decline, larger predators would be affected. For example, many birds, including sparrows, robins, and even some hawks, are heavily dependent on insects for food. If these small insects were gone, those birds would struggle to survive, leading to a dramatic reduction in bird populations. The cascading effects would extend up the food chain, impacting larger predators like foxes, snakes, and even larger mammals that depend on smaller creatures for sustenance. The absence of insects would also disrupt the food supply for other animals. Amphibians, like frogs and salamanders, which eat vast quantities of insects, would face a significant challenge. In fact, many species of amphibians have already experienced declines due to the loss of insect populations, which has a direct impact on their ability to thrive. The loss of insects could result in a complete collapse of these species, and in turn, the animals that depend on them would suffer as well. Insects play a crucial role in breaking down organic matter, recycling nutrients, and returning them to the soil. Without insects, the process of decomposition would slow down significantly, leading to a buildup of dead plant and animal material. This could have severe consequences for the health of ecosystems. For instance, decomposers like beetles, termites, and ants break down dead plants and animals, returning valuable nutrients to the soil. Without these insects, organic matter would accumulate, and the soil quality would deteriorate over time. Plants would struggle to grow, and the nutrient cycle would be disrupted. Fertile soils would become depleted, and the earth would gradually become less capable of supporting life. Without insects to help process waste and dead matter, ecosystems would become imbalanced, leading to a decline in plant life, which would in turn affect herbivores and the entire food chain. We often take insects for granted, but they are deeply woven into the fabric of human life. If insects were to disappear, humans would face serious challenges, not only in terms of food production, but also in areas like health, agriculture, and even industry. For example, consider the role of insects in agriculture. Without bees, pollination of crops like fruits, vegetables, and legumes would dramatically decrease. This would not only reduce the variety and availability of these foods, but it could also drive up food prices and cause a rise in malnutrition. The loss of insects could also affect the pharmaceutical industry, as many medicines are derived from substances found in insects. Insects have been a source of inspiration and research for many drugs, including painkillers, antibiotics, and even cancer treatments. The loss of this resource could stunt medical progress and innovation. While the collapse of insect populations would have devastating consequences, it's important to consider how ecosystems might adapt, or fail to adapt, to this massive loss. One possibility is that other animals or plants might step in and fill the ecological roles currently filled by insects. Birds and bats, for instance, might take over some of the pollination duties, although they wouldn't be able to pollinate as effectively or widely as insects do. In terms of decomposition, larger animals such as scavengers might begin to take on the task of breaking down organic matter. However, the efficiency of these creatures would be much lower compared to the work of insects, and the process of nutrient cycle would slow down significantly. Evolution is always in motion, and over thousands or millions of years, new forms of life could develop to perform the vital roles that insects once did. A world without insects would be a radically different place, one where ecosystems collapse, food chains break down, and life as we know it becomes unsustainable. The absence of pollinators, decomposers, and essential food sources would send shockwaves through the environment, causing irreversible damage to plant and animal life. While nature is adaptable, the loss of insects would be a challenge even for the most resilient ecosystems. It's a reminder of just how crucial these tiny creatures are, and how their absence would leave a void that could never truly be filled. If this thought experiment got your brain buzzing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more curious questions and cool facts. Until next time, keep wondering, keep learning, and never stop asking, what if?